Picture a grand old courthouse, stone steps, towering pillars, its architecture echoing the weight of history and the promise of justice. This building stands as a symbol of fairness, a place where the law is meant to treat everyone equally, no matter who they are. Two people approach. One, a man in a sharp suit, briefcase in hand, greeted by his lawyer with a confident nod. He's prepared, his path smoothed by experience and support. They stride in, calm and assured, as if heading to a business meeting. The courthouse is familiar territory, another stop in a well-rehearsed routine. Then a young woman arrives, breathless from the bus, clutching a crumpled court notice. She's alone, her steps uncertain, her heart pounding with anxiety. Her clothes are worn, her eyes anxious. No lawyer waits for her. She scans the crowd, searching for a friendly face, but finds none. She hesitates, unsure which door to enter, feeling out of place in the imposing building. The courthouse looms above her, its doors heavy with the unknown. Both are about to face the same legal system, in a country that claims fairness for all. Yet their journeys could not be more different. The judge, the laws, the courtroom, they're the same for both. The rules are written to be impartial, the setting designed to be neutral, but their experiences couldn't be more different. One walks in with confidence, the other with trepidation, each carrying invisible burdens shaped by their circumstances. One has support and resources, the other only uncertainty and fear. Legal advice, reassurance, and strategy on one side, on the other, confusion and isolation. This isn't a rare story, it's daily reality in Canadian courts. Every day, people from all walks of life pass through these doors, but not all are equally equipped for what awaits inside. The justice system is supposed to be blind, seeing only facts, not wealth. The scales are meant to balance regardless of who stands before them. But is it truly blind? Or does it peek beneath the blindfold? Does it sense the difference between those with means and those without? Money doesn't just buy a suit or a lawyer, it buys a different kind of justice. It buys expertise, time, and the ability to navigate a complex system. It buys options, time, and a fighting chance. For those who can afford it, the law becomes a tool. For others, it can feel like an obstacle. For some, the courthouse is a hurdle. For others, it's a fortress. The very place meant to protect can feel unwelcoming, even intimidating. The journey through those doors reveals just how unequal justice can be. Behind every case file is a human story, shaped by privilege or lack thereof, and the outcome can depend as much on circumstance as on the law itself. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms promises equality before the law. In theory, justice is for everyone, regardless of status or income. Rights like fair trial and legal representation are supposed to be guaranteed, not privileges. The system is meant to be a level playing field, where evidence, not wealth, decides outcomes. But the reality often falls short. Legal defense costs money for lawyers, experts, and investigations. The gap between the Charter's promise and courtroom reality is where inequality takes root. The justice journey starts with police and a phone call. If you have money, you call a private lawyer, someone ready to help day or night. Immediate expert advice shapes your defense from the start. If you can't afford a lawyer, you call legal aid's duty counsel. Overworked, they offer brief general advice, often from someone you'll never meet again. The wealthy get a dedicated advocate, the poor get a fleeting lifeline. This first call sets two very different paths in motion. One path is guided and strategic, the other uncertain and lonely. The law is the same, but the experience is worlds apart. Justice begins to diverge at the very first step. After arrest comes the bail hearing. For the wealthy, bail is a financial transaction, cash or a surety, and they're free. Stable jobs and assets make release likely. For the poor, bail is a barrier, no cash, no surety, unstable housing. They're often denied bail, not for danger, but for poverty. The result? The rich go home. The poor wait in jail, sometimes for months. Pretrial detention can cost jobs, homes, even families. The pressure to plead guilty grows just to escape jail. Freedom, here, comes with a price tag many can't pay. Preparing for trial exposes the justice gap even more. The wealthy hire teams, lawyers, investigators, experts, exploring every angle. They can challenge evidence, delay proceedings, and build strong defenses. Legal aid lawyers are dedicated but stretched thin, juggling huge caseloads with limited resources. They can't match the Crown or private teams in time or tools. The result? The rich create reasonable doubt. The poor are often pushed toward plea deals. The quality of your defense and your chance at justice depends on your wallet. In court, money talks louder than the law. Courtroom navigation is a different world for the rich and the poor. The wealthy can take time off, manage delays, and rely on their lawyer for guidance. Delays are strategic, not catastrophic. They can wait for the best outcome. For the poor, every court date means lost wages, childcare struggles, and mounting stress. They often face the system alone, overwhelmed by legal jargon and uncertainty. The pressure is relentless, making a guilty plea seem like the only escape. For many, the goal isn't justice, it's just to end the ordeal. The system wears them down, plea by plea. Justice becomes a privilege, not a right. The process itself punishes poverty. The numbers confirm what stories reveal. Poverty and poor outcomes go hand in hand. Denied bail? You're more likely to plead guilty or be convicted. Legal aid funding hasn't kept up, leaving many without help. The working poor fall through the cracks, too rich for aid, too poor for a lawyer. Jails are filled with people from low-income backgrounds, especially indigenous and racialized communities. It's not about crime, it's about poverty, lack of support, and systemic barriers. The data shows income is a major predictor of legal outcomes. Justice is supposed to be blind, but the numbers say otherwise. Meet David and Mark, two men, two charges, two realities. Their stories unfold in the same country, under the same laws, but their paths could not be more different. David, a business owner, is accused of fraud. He's shocked, but he knows he has options. With resources at his disposal, he quickly gets to work protecting his future. He hires top lawyers, experts, and negotiates a deal, charges dropped for a fine. His legal team handles the details, and soon David is back to business as usual. The incident becomes just another challenge to overcome, barely a blip on his record. Mark, a construction worker, is accused of assault. Unlike David, Mark doesn't have savings or connections. The accusation alone is enough to turn his world upside down. He loses his job, can't afford bail, and waits in jail for months. Each day behind bars means missed paychecks, mounting bills, and growing anxiety about his family's future. His legal aid lawyer, overwhelmed and juggling dozens of cases, advises a guilty plea for time served. Mark barely understands the process, but he's desperate to get out and see his loved ones again. Mark takes the deal, desperate to go home, but now has a criminal record. The consequences follow him. Finding work becomes nearly impossible, and the stigma lingers. David's wealth bought him time, expertise, and a second chance. He moves forward, his reputation largely intact, his opportunities undiminished. Mark's poverty cost him freedom, work, and hope. The system that was supposed to protect him instead left him with scars that may never heal. Both faced charges, but only one had a real shot at justice. The courtroom may look impartial, but the outcomes tell a different story. The system didn't just process Mark, it broke him. His spirit, his prospects, and his trust in fairness were all shattered. For David, the law was a problem to solve. For Mark, it was a trap. The difference wasn't the crime, but the means to fight it. Innocence or guilt mattered less than resources. The scales of justice tipped not by truth, but by wealth. The process punished poverty more than the alleged crime. For many, the outcome is decided long before they ever see a judge. This is the reality for countless Canadians, where justice is promised to all, but delivered to only a few. Justice should be equal for all, not a privilege for the wealthy. Yet for too many, the promise of justice remains out of reach, determined by the size of their bank account, rather than the strength of their case. To restore balance, we must invest in legal aid, so everyone gets a fair defense. Legal aid ensures that no one is left to navigate the legal system alone, especially when the stakes are highest. Legal aid isn't charity, it's the foundation of a just society. It's about upholding the principle that justice is a right, not a privilege reserved for a few. Bail reform is crucial. Pre-trial detention should be rare, not routine for the poor. No one should lose their freedom simply because they can't afford bail. We need creative solutions to keep people in their communities, not behind bars for lack of money. Community support and rehabilitation offer hope and a path forward. Justice must be a right, not a commodity. It should never be bought or sold, but guaranteed for every person, regardless of their background. Our democracy depends on a system everyone can trust. When people believe in the fairness of our courts, our society grows stronger and more united. When justice is denied to one, it's diminished for all. The ripple effects of injustice touch every community, eroding faith in our institutions. Closing the gap between promise and reality is our shared responsibility. Together, we can build a system that truly serves everyone, not just the privileged. Only then can we truly restore the balance to the scales of justice and ensure fairness for generations to come.